Hey friend, I'm coming to you today with a quick thought, something that I'm personally studying that has really stuck out to me. And it's about the story of Jesus raising Lazarus from the dead. If you've been in church for a little bit, that's probably a story you've heard. It's kind of one of the famous ones. Lazarus was dead for 4 days and Jesus raised him to life. It's pretty extraordinary. But I've read it, so many times, but in my recent reading of it, something stood out to me, probably because of where I'm at in my own journey. And first of all, of course, there's the delay. Jesus was told, someone came to tell him, hey, Lazarus is dead. And Lazarus was a friend of Jesus. This wasn't just some random, they were friends. They knew each other. So someone comes to tell Jesus, hey, Lazarus is dead. Jesus does not choose to immediately go to the grave. He doesn't choose to immediately go and bring Lazarus back to life. He waits. He is delayed in his going. He waits. And that struck me recently. I go, wait a minute, why did he wait? If he knew what he was going to do, why didn't he just go do it? And I think the answer can be found in verse 14. So the story is in John 11. And the answer, I think, to why Jesus waited can be found in verse 14 when he's talking to the disciples who, of course, don't get it. They don't understand. He's just said, Lazarus is asleep. He wants them to be not panicked. They're always in panic. And he's like, it's okay. You don't need to be panicked. He's not dead. And they're like, well, if he's not dead, then why do you need to go? So then it says, literally, it says this, Jesus made it plain to them in verse 14. Lazarus is dead. And for your sake, I'm glad I wasn't there, because now you have another opportunity to see who I am so that you will learn to trust me. Friends, when God provides for us, when he does a miracle for us, when we see his power on display, it is not just for power's sake. He wants that to lead us to a level of trust that we didn't have before. It doesn't have to. People receive powerful miracles from God all the time, and they don't choose to trust God. So it doesn't have to mean that you're going to trust God. But what his heart is that when you are in a place that you need a provision from him, you need a miracle, you need something from him, he wants the provision and the power on display to point you to him, to say, oh, this is who he is. I can trust him. And I find it rather extraordinary that the whole reason Jesus waited, the whole reason, because he waited on purpose, it wasn't coincidental, the whole reason he waited to go to the tomb was because he wanted an opportunity to illustrate who he was to his disciples so that they would trust him. It was all about trust. And I wonder how many of us are facing situations and we feel like God is delayed. I will be the first to say that has been me many times. Even recently, there's things I'm like, what are you doing? This is weird. Why are we waiting? Like, I see it. Let's do it. Why are you waiting? If you have the power to do it, just do it. And I wonder if it's the same for us as it was for the disciples, that we see, okay, if you can do it, then just do it. And Jesus is going, well, we've waited on purpose because I want you to fully understand who I am. I want you to really know who I am, and I want you to learn to trust me. If God did everything in the timing that we want, we wouldn't have a reason to trust him because we would just be getting it all on our timetable. But he purposely waits. His timing is perfect. And more often than not, it has less to do with the situation that we're in and more to do with the condition of our heart. And Jesus wants our trust more than anything. He wants us to say, I trust you. I know who you are, and I trust you with my life. I trust you with this situation. I'm not going to be afraid. That's his heart for us, is that we would trust him even when we're in a situation and someone's been dead for 4 days. And we're like, yeah, this is now past the place of God has a plan. This is now moved into like, well, I guess this is God's plan. This is God's plan for me to just sit here in this place. This is God's plan. Sometimes God's plan is simply you learning to trust him, and me too. So I want to encourage you, friend, whatever you're facing, know that the delay isn't because God has forgotten you. It isn't because he's mad at you. It's because he's wanting you to learn to trust in him.